And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
Hi, Abraham. I teach this yoga class, and I base it on law of attraction. And I say this thing, and I was questioning it on the way over here. I say, if we really did the work that it took to clean up what's going on the inside of who we are as individuals, and really kept that focus, then through the law of attraction, we could actually heal the planet and bring harmony and peacefulness to our planet.
Yes, of course. But there's something in that question that really speaks to the unworthiness that humans feel. And it was even part of what you were offering there.
Yeah.
In other words, it's almost like there's a wrongdoing in exploring contrast, or there's a wrongdoing in ever being out of the vortex, or that I've done something wrong if I'm not in every moment in perfect bliss. And that just isn't the case. In other words, in that contrast is expansion. And if you can just get your eye on the expansion and not beat up on yourself for what it took to get to the expansion, then you've got it. In other words, embrace the process, even the parts of it that don't feel good, in order to allow the solution, which is the expansion that you're all reaching for.
So the contrast is such a part of the human condition that to look at the contrast as being wrong is, we're out to lunch on that right there.
That's one of the things that many who have been practicing this deliberate creative process that we are teaching, you're hard on yourselves when things are not in every red hot minute pleasing you in just the way you want them to be. And yet it's the opposite of what we've been trying to extract from you in all this conversation. We want it to be all right with you to have a step one experience. The creative process, the joyous expansion process, the eternally becoming who we are process is step one, ask. And you cannot ask without variety. You cannot ask without contrast. And the greater the contrast, the stronger the asking.
Wait, you cannot ask without contrast?
You cannot. If you do not have contrast, you couldn't focus a desire into being. There would be no asking whatsoever without contrast. None. And yet it's what humans are trying to get rid of. Let's get rid of all of the contrast so we could just be happy. Because if I could just be happy, then I could just be in the vortex. And we say, yes, of course, but the contrast is what's causing you to ask. Step one is ask. That's the difference between you, leading edge creators, and the source within you. You're asking more specifically.
Is that like us trying to get back to this Garden of Eden idea or something like that?
No, you're not trying to get back anywhere. You're moving forward into the moreness of that which we all are, you see.
Right, but why do we scoff at how it is so much? Why do we get angry and upset with how things are?
Because you're not looking at how they really are in the vortex. You're looking at how they temporarily are in your distorted view.
So it's our interpretation that we put on what's happening around us.
Well, we've got to give it to you. You are in a more dicey position because we're asking you to explore the contrast so that you know what you don't want, so that you know what you do want. And then we're saying, as soon as you know what you do want, give your undivided attention to that. And yet you're all living the reality, and the reality is sort of, it's intoxicating. When you can see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it, it gets your attention. And we are almost at the place, and we will be very soon, maybe even in the next moment or so, where we can say this to you in the way that you've been wanting to understand it for a very long time. So we're just going to feel around in here until Esther finds the words that express this powerful blending of why I live in contrast, why I would be willing to live in contrast, and how it fits into the greater picture of all of this. So the contrast helps you to expand. But the contrast also keeps you from taking the expansion.
Yeah.
That's why we say it is so infuriating to you to have something going on, a relationship or something going on that causes you to want something more than you've ever wanted. But the very thing that's going on is distracting you from the vibration that you need to reap the reward that you're asking for. It's like the realness of the contrast overwhelms you, and it's because you haven't understood the basis of it.
Right, it's like I'm identifying with the contrast.
Because you are accustomed to interpreting it through your physical senses, so it's realer. So this is going to sound very profound. You want to write this down. The reality that you're living is realer to you than the reality in the vortex.
Right.
Because the reality in the vortex is only a vibration so far. We shouldn't say only because you can feel it, but it isn't fleshed out yet. So it's easier to believe in your sickness than in your wellness when the sickness is what is in the moment. It's easier to believe in not enough money to pay your bills than in all the money that's lined up for you, because the path to yield it to you in manifestation hasn't come yet. So this is the circle that we want to complete here. This is this new breakthrough that, as you feel it, will cause you to release resistance, and it will serve you really well. So we say to you, on the one hand, what is the bouncing off place. It's the platform from which you ask. So you accept that, don't you? The contrasting platform from which you ask is putting things in the vortex, is what will be your future manifestation. So the contrasting reality is the basis of the bouncing off place.
The contrasting reality is the platform?
It's the platform from which most of your thinking takes place. From where you are now, most of what you're thinking is coming out of what is now. So if you don't like it, you ask for an improvement. If you do like it, then you appreciate it. But your observation of what is a very big part of your vibrational patterning. So as you're observing the contrast and launching these rockets of desire, we say, so the what is reality, the what is manifestation, has caused you to become more. But then we say, you have to become a vibrational match with the more, and then it will become the manifestation.